You saw one left-wing activist, actually a Hollywood producer who produced a children's movie, Beauty and the Beast, who said that those kids should be thrown into a wood chipper. Hat first, children thrown into a wood chipper. You saw another left-wing person who said that Nazis don't deserve privacy. Maybe doxing teenagers is a good deterrent against teenagers being racist. You saw another left-wing person saying that MAGA hat kids should be shot on sight, saying he would raise his kids to beat up kids like that. He then later said that those kids should be locked in the bathrooms of the school and the school set on fire. You look at all that, that's not normal. A lot of conservative people in media will try to tell you this is ideological. It's because they don't like conservatives. They don't like MAGA. They don't like Donald Trump. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it. That's not the reason they hate the children. That's not the reason Reza Aslan is saying that this kid has a punchable face. It is clearly racially motivated. It is clearly racially charged. You have a Jewish media, you have a non-white coalition. They see young, smug, white kids who are confident, not self-hating, not neurotic, not bending over backwards to appease minorities, and it fills them with rage. It fills them with contempt. They don't hate MAGA supporters. They don't hate Donald Trump because he wants a steel barrier on the border. They hate white people. They see white children. They see white babies who are smug, who are confident of who they are, who don't hate themselves, and it makes them furious on the inside. And as a movement, as the right wing, as white people want to protect our own, we have to start to understand that. Recognize that every other group in the country understands this idea. Take a look at Trayvon Martin, for example. Take a look at Michael Brown. These two people were criminals. Michael Brown, they said, was a gentle giant. Yeah, a gentle giant who robs a convenience store and then grabs a cop's gun. This person was a saint. President Obama comes out and defends him. Black celebrities defend him. He's on the basketball players' shoes. He's in commercials. They remember his birthday. It doesn't matter what he did. Black people see their youth being targeted. They detect a threat from outside groups attacking their youth, and they respond by protecting their youth. It didn't matter what he did. It didn't matter what Trayvon Martin did. Like Barack Obama said, it doesn't matter what Trayvon did. He would look like my son if I had a son. That's the mentality. Their race is family. Their race is kin. They move to protect their own. You look at the reaction of these Catholic high schoolers. It wasn't so much the same on our side. You had all these high-minded conservative pundits who were so quick, so presumptuous to condemn their own diocese in their school, National Review, all the usual suspects on the right had to take the high road and say, this is reprehensible. They were standing in the face of a Vietnam veteran and a Native American. You had Jewish Nicholas Frankovich saying it was akin to them spitting on a cross. They said that they were basically like Roman soldiers to Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ being the pagan Native American. That's how white people respond. They put ideology, they put their high-minded, slavish racial masochism ahead of their own personal interest. Their own children, their own youth. And that's the scandal here. The scandal is not that the MAGA kids were attacked. The scandal is not that the media took a story that they didn't fact check and ran with it. The scandal is that we will not protect our own children. And you see now that the parents of these kids are having to sue major media companies because you've got multi-billion-dollar entities targeting all their money, resources, fans, ire against children, teenagers, because they were rowdy at a rally. And that's the biggest scandal of all. We have got to become tribal. We are going to live in a multiracial country, whether we like it or not. The enemy gets a say in this also. We're not comfortable yet with the fact that race is real, race matters, that tribe is a component of our identity. It's probably immutable. It's ingrained in who we are, in our DNA, but we're going to have to learn that because the non-whites in the country, the media, blacks, Hispanics, they see clearly what this is for what it is. We see all these different flashpoints, whether it be this latest one, that high school in Wisconsin where they did the Roman salute, the MAGA hat incident in Whataburger, the student at Columbia University says he loves white people. We see all these different things. We frame them in terms of ideology. It's the left going after conservatives. It's the left going after somebody who's trying to express political speech. The left does not see it that way. The left never sees it that way. Take a look at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. When she takes a picture of herself with this freshman class of congresswomen, and it's the black congresswoman from Massachusetts, and it's the two Native American congresswomen, and it's the two Muslim congresswomen, the one in their chobe and or whatever it is, their Islamic garb, and the other in the hijab, and they take their picture and say, Congress is going to look a lot more like America. Is that ideological? Of course not. The left understands full well what this is about. They understand what the MAGA hat represents. They understand what a smug, smirking Zoomer in a MAGA hat represents. They know that the current battle is a challenge by non-whites, led in a substantial way by Jewish media, against white America. That's what it is. It is a challenge by this coalition of non-whites for primacy, culturally, demographically, socially, and politically over the country. And white people, unfortunately, don't see it that way. We'll protect whites when it's ideologically true and when, it's totally in line with etiquette and political correctness and everything. And when it isn't, well, we're happy to throw them basically to the wolves. And it's not hard to understand why we're going to lose if that's the case. It's basic game theory. If this non-white coalition protects their own 100% of the time, and we protect our own 50% of the time, 60% of the time, depends on the year. It's not really hard to imagine what our fate is, what the fate is for our children, for our descendants, and so on. It's not looking so good. So hopefully we can all get together in America. I'm really hopeful that we are, because racial conflict is not something that is going to be fun for anybody. It's not going to benefit anybody. But racial conflict is preferable to genocide. I'm sorry to say. It is preferable to stand up and defend your own tribal interests, your own children, than to let them become sacrificed on the altar of multiracialism. That's just a fact. So I see this little episode. It's not an episode about media bias, correctness, whatever. You have to look at it for what it is. It is racialized. It is a challenge by non-white America against white America. And you look at some of these other details about it, which I just think are funny. You take a look at the Native American guy, and everybody says, at least on the right, everybody says, he's this Vietnam veteran. You have to throw that in there for Republicans. They love the veteran stuff. He's a noble Native American Vietnam veteran, because it's totally fine if you're a person of color, so long as you salute the flag and you believe the American creed. You're just as good, if not better, than the rest of us, right? Than the rest of us people. What else are we doing here, right? Once you look into the details, this guy wasn't even a veteran. He says he's a Vietnam era veteran. The guy's a total snake. You do the math. He's 64 years old in 2018. It's 2019 now, but it's January, so 64 as of 2018. That puts him at 17 years old when the Vietnam War ended, when the Vietnam War was pulling out all their troops. So he goes on all these interviews and says, these white kids are attacking me and so on, and I'm just this Vietnam veteran. The guy's a liar. The guy's a professional agitator, and we would know that if we had any good Republicans on our side, but we don't. We get Jews like Nicholas Frankovich, and many others, by the way, in National Review and other outlets, who they have no qualms, by the way, about attacking white Christians. That distinction between Jewish and white Christian tends to be a little bit important when it comes to racial conflict, as we're soon going to find out, as we've been finding out. But Nicholas Frankovich, and I'll quote the piece in its entirety, wrote about the video, quote, "They mock a serious, frail-looking older man and gloat in their momentary role as Roman soldiers to his Christ. Bullying is a worn-out word and doesn't convey the full extent of the evil on display here. As for the putatively Catholic students from Covington, they might as well have just spit on the cross and got it over with." He got ratioed pretty hard for that on Twitter. There was a lot of backlash. He was forced to publish an apology. This is a National Review. This is supposed to be a conservative publication. This is one that Ben Shapiro writes for. Another Jew, by the way. So in his apology, this is so typical. He writes, quote, "Early Sunday morning, I posted a, quote, strongly worded," and in parentheses, Richard Lowry's description, "condemnation of the conduct seen far and wide on video of a group of high school students at the conclusion of the March for Life on Friday afternoon. I was preachy and rhetorically excessive, and I regret it. The overheated post I wrote has been taken down. Let this apology stand in its stead, both here on the corner and in the memory of readers who justifiably objected to my high-handedness." What a scumbag. What a scumbag. That's all you have to say? Teenagers, they're afraid to go to school tomorrow because they're getting bomb threats. People are threatening to go in and shoot up the school. You were a part of that. You were a part of that based on no evidence. Presumptuously, because you hate white children. You hate to see young white men smirking, confident, and so on. And your response, contributing, adding fuel to that fire, again, of children being targeted by this mob, which normally is reserved for Supreme Court nominees and presidents. It's, I guess I posted a strongly worded piece, and I guess if you found it preachy and excessive, I regret it. I'm really sorry. And he's protected. He's not going to get fired anytime soon by these people. He has to get fired. Why do we not demand he get fired? Who do you think funds National Review? Who do you think funds any of these outlets? Who do you think funds Daily Wire? Yeah, they've got some pretty substantial billionaires behind it, but who makes it cash flow positive? It's all you stupid white Christians out there who continue to give your money to people who hate you, to people who are not in your corner. When the going gets tough, they post this kind of stuff that, you're spitting on the cross. You're Roman soldiers to Christ. They don't even believe in Christ. The only thing they believe about Christ is that he's in hell in burning excrement and semen. And so it's just enough. It's just enough with the right wing. That's the real problem in 2019. And I said this in the beginning of 2019. The focus is not on the left. The focus is not on the retards in the alt-right who are going nowhere fast. The focus is on this hostile foreign occupation of the right-wing movement in America. Until we can reclaim the American right, the party of the American right, the infrastructure, the institution of the American right, we're not going anywhere. We're being led by people that don't want to win. We're being led to people that know that when things go south for them, they're either going to join the enemy or they're going to get out of here and go somewhere else, some other country. So that's, to me, what I think the real problem is here, the real scandal. About the weaponized smirk from the Covington kids. But I think that's basically all I've got to say. We're drinking the go-off juice. One of the few things that makes me angry is the children. These are the real casualties because, adults, I think they basically have what's coming to them. Boomers have created this world. The people that inhabit the world have created the world that we're going to see in the next 20 years. But these are kids. You know how kids are. I was a kid once. I was a kid 3 years ago, and I faced basically the same tactics by Ben Shapiro. And it's not right. It's not just. A society, a tribe that does not stand up for its own children is not worth existing. It's not worth being there. But